Okay, so let's unpack this with a slightly weird, maybe darkly funny thought experiment. Picture this. You open the fridge way in the back, and there it is, that container of mystery leftovers you forgot about. And it's now sporting like a whole new fuzzy green civilization.
Right.
We've all been there. Now, obviously, you scrape it off, toss the whole thing. But here's the strange question. What if you, like, accidentally ate a tiny bit of that fuzz? Are you just in for a quick stomachache, or did you just unwittingly invite this tiny fungal invader that now secretly craves all your ice cream?
Ha! Well, that fuzzy green civilization, as you called it, is actually a perfect starting point for this deep dive, because your question gets right to the heart of it.
Okay.
Our mission today isn't really about avoiding the super obvious rotten stuff. I mean, we all know not to eat the green meatloaf.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. We're diving into the sneakier ways that fungus and mold, and that includes common internal ones like Candida, can actually set up shop inside your body permanently.
Inside.
Yeah. We need to look at what causes this and, honestly, the surprisingly big consequences of this internal fungal takeover.
And we're not just talking a little indigestion here. The stakes seem way higher. You mentioned some weird symptoms people might not even connect to fungus.
Exactly. Things like, that persistent white coating on your tongue or those relentless, almost maddening cravings for sugar and carbs.
Because the fungus wants dessert too.
It absolutely does. It loves sugar. And then you have things like chronic sinus infections that never quite clear up, or weird skin rashes that just appear out of nowhere. This internal stuff can have a massive influence.
It sounds like it can really start running the show from the inside.
It really can. It essentially hijacks things.
All right, so let's tackle a common anxiety first. Mold makes people jumpy. If I see, a little bit of blue or white fuzz on some fancy cheese I bought, should I freak out? Am I doomed to internal fungal warfare?
Aha. Okay, good news on that front. That's the cheese exemption. You're safe there. The molds or fungi that are supposed to be on cheese, like your blue cheese or brie, they generally don't produce the nasty, toxic byproducts that other molds do. So they won't mess with your overall health in that way. Enjoy the Roquefort.
Excellent news. Cheese remains a safe haven. Okay, but what about the real bad guys then? Where are the foods where we should be concerned about these toxins, these mycotoxins you mentioned, even if the food looks okay?
Right, that's the real danger zone. Because often the issue isn't the mold you can see, but the invisible toxins it releases, the mycotoxins.
Got it.
The big culprits to watch out for are things like moldy peanuts, that's a classic one, rice, grains, especially corn, actually. Dried fruit can be tricky, too. And surprisingly for some, even coffee beans, depending on how they're processed and stored.
Okay. And eating those toxins, even if you don't see mold, that's serious business. It's not just like a little food poisoning.
No, it's definitely not. It's more insidious. Ingesting these mycotoxins consistently is like throwing sticky sand into the gears of your body's processing systems. They put a real strain on your liver. And yeah, historically, high exposure has been linked to some pretty serious long-term health problems, even cancers in some cases.
Okay, that's sobering.
But here's something really interesting and maybe surprising. For a lot of people, the main problem isn't actually eating moldy food here and there. It's an internal overgrowth that's happening kind of on its own. The fungus is already inside you, just waiting for an opportunity.
Wait, really? So if I'm super careful about my peanuts and corn, I could still have a fungus party going on inside. How does that happen?
That's the key question. It boils down to what we could call the great microbiome sabotage.
Okay.
Think of the bacteria in your gut, your microbiome, like they're the local police force patrolling your internal city. Now, yeast, fungus, mold, including Candida, they're naturally present. They're like minor residents, usually harmless in small numbers.
Right, just hanging out.
Exactly. The healthy bacteria, the police officers, keep them in check, keep the peace. The trouble starts when you do something that, disables the police force, that allows these normally quiet fungal elements to become, let's say, unfriendly opportunists and just take over.
So we're not necessarily importing the enemy. We're accidentally disarming our own internal security team.
Wow. Okay, what are the main ways we mess up our police force and let the fungus run wild? Let's start with, medical stuff.
Okay, yeah. The number one culprit, and it's widespread, is certain medications. The classic example is antibiotics. It's like an internal sabotage mission, really.
How so?
Well, antibiotics are great at killing bacteria, but they're often indiscriminate. They wipe out the bad guys, and the good guys are our bacterial police force. But here's the kicker. They don't kill fungus.
Mm.
So you basically clear out all the competition, creating this vacuum where the fungus can just explode and spread without anything holding it back. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
What's the next big medical trigger? You mentioned steroids, like prednisone for inflammation or autoimmune conditions.
Exactly. Steroids like prednisone are super powerful immune suppressants. They essentially tell your entire immune system's local enforcement to stand down.
Whoa.
Yeah. And when your immune system takes a step back, the fungus sees its chance. It goes party time and starts growing much more aggressively. Steroids can be absolutely necessary sometimes medically, but we have to be aware that they create this opening. It's a bit of a slippery slope for gut balance.
Okay, so those are like intentional chemical interventions. But what about things just from daily life? Does something like stress really impact this internal fungal balance? That seems less direct.
Oh, absolutely. Stress might be the sneakiest saboteur of them all. We're not just talking about deadline stress, but like major emotional stress, a sudden loss, a really bad breakup, intense, ongoing conflict.
Right, the big stuff.
That kind of stress makes your body pump out huge amounts of cortisol. And cortisol is basically your body's own natural version of prednisone.
No way.
Yes, it suppresses the immune response in a similar way, opens the door for fungal overgrowth, and honestly, that chronic cortisol surge does damage all over the body, even to your heart.
Wow. Okay, stress is a bigger player than I thought. Now, let's talk diet. Iron. That one surprised me. We need iron, right? Why is extra iron bad here?
It's a bit counterintuitive, isn't it? But
Yeah.
excess iron is like putting out a five-star buffet for these pathogens.
Really?
Yeah, if you're getting too much iron, maybe from taking supplements you don't actually need, or even sometimes from constantly cooking acidic foods and cast iron and scraping bits off, you're essentially feeding the fungus and certain bad bacteria. They thrive on that extra iron and multiply like crazy.
Okay, note to self, don't overdo the iron supplements unless you know you need them. And the last one, alcohol. I guess people trying to fight fungus probably cut out sugar first, but is alcohol really up there with sugar?
It really is, maybe even more impactful in some ways. Alcohol is the fifth major saboteur. It's simple, really. Yeast, fungus, mold, they absolutely love alcohol. They feed on the fermentation products, the sugars involved. It just creates an environment where they flourish. It's like pouring fuel on the fire for them.
Okay, this is all making a scary amount of sense. But here's where you said it gets really fascinating. Almost like these things are intelligent.
Yeah.
If we start fighting back, does the fungus have ways to protect itself once it's dug in?
It absolutely does. And this is maybe the most crucial defense mechanism it has. Get this. When your body becomes too alkaline, maybe you're trying to alkalize too much, the fungus actually gets more comfortable and digs its roots in deeper.
Okay.
But its most ingenious trick, the toxins it produces, these mycotoxins, they actively block or downgrade your body's vitamin D receptors. It's like it deploys electronic warfare against your system.
Wait, hold on. The fungus itself messes with my vitamin D. Why? What's the point of that?
Because vitamin D is absolutely critical for your immune system to function properly. If your vitamin D receptors are blocked or downgraded, your body can't effectively use the vitamin D it has. And without sufficient active vitamin D, your immune system, especially your T cells, which are key fighters here, simply cannot mount an effective defense against the fungus.
So the fungus is smart enough to know that if it disables my vitamin D, I can't fight back effectively.
Essentially, yes. It's an evolved survival mechanism. It's trying to ensure its own survival by disarming your primary defense system against it. Pretty clever, in a terrifying way.
That is genuinely astonishing
Yeah.
and infuriating. Okay, so the enemy is smart, it's dug in, and it knows how to block our best weapons. What's the counter strategy? How do we start taking back control?
Right, we need a multi-pronged attack. First, change the environment. Fungus really dislikes acidic conditions, so gently shifting your internal pH back towards slightly more acidic can help suppress these organisms.
How do we do that?
Well, things like apple cider vinegar in water, or even kombucha tea, which contains beneficial acids like lactic acid from its fermentation, can help create an environment that's less hospitable for fungal growth.
Right.
We basically need to make their home uncomfortable.
Okay, make the house unwelcoming. Step 1. Step 2 must be cutting off the food supply, right?
Absolutely crucial. Starve them out. This means going back to those dietary changes we touched on. You really need to cut out or drastically reduce grains, corn, rice, heavy starches, and especially sugar in all its forms, particularly high fructose corn syrup. That stuff not only feeds the fungus directly, but is also known to suppress your immune system overall.
Double whammy. Okay, environment change, food supply cut. What's next? How do we penetrate their defenses and repair the damage?
Now we move to the nutrient attack plan, specifically designed to overcome that resistance. To get past that vitamin D receptor blockade, you often need higher doses of vitamin D initially. But, and this is critical, always take vitamin D with its cofactors, magnesium and vitamin K2. They work together.
Got it. D, magnesium, K2. What other key minerals do we need to rebuild the immune system they've been targeting?
Zinc is absolutely non-negotiable. Zinc deficiency actually causes the thymus gland, think of it as the T-cell training camp, to shrink. Not good.
Wow.
And then there's selenium. Being deficient in selenium makes you much more susceptible to infections in general, including fungal ones. These trace minerals are fundamental building blocks for a strong defense.
Okay, so we're rebuilding the army. But what if someone suspects they're already dealing with a high load of those mycotoxins from the overgrowth? How do you clean up the existing poison?
Right. Detoxification is key. You need something to basically act like a sponge and soak up those toxins in your gut before your body absorbs them. Activated charcoal or bentonite clay are excellent for this. They bind the toxins.
Okay.
You can also use chlorophyllin. It's a liquid form of chlorophyll, which helps neutralize the effects of some of these toxins.
And what about supporting the liver? It must be working overtime dealing with all this.
Exactly. That's where NAC, or N-acetylcysteine, comes in. It's a precursor to glutathione, which is your body's master antioxidant. Taking NAC is one of the best ways to help your liver cope with and process the toxic load. Also, don't forget cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts. They contain compounds like sulforaphane that really help with detoxification pathways.
Okay, detox support covered. So we've changed the environment, starved the enemy, reinforced our defenses, cleaned up the toxins. What's the final step to make sure they don't just come back?
We have to rebuild the police force. Remember how antibiotics and stress wipe them out? We need to bring them back.
Ah, the good bacteria.
Precisely. Replenishment is crucial for long-term success. This means loading up on probiotics, both from supplements and, ideally, from fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, plain yogurt. You have to restore that healthy gut microbial balance to keep the fungus suppressed naturally and permanently.
Okay, that makes sense. Restore the natural guards. Now, I think we had a couple of extra bonus power-ups worth mentioning quickly for this fight.
We did. One fascinating one is propolis. It's that sticky stuff bees make.
Right.
It's known as an immune regulator, but it's also a really potent natural antifungal and antimicrobial agent. Quite powerful stuff.
Cool. And the other was about a specific type of fat.
Yes. MCT oil, which comes from coconuts. Specifically, the lauric acid in MCT oil has been shown to have antifungal properties, particularly against yeast like Candida.
Good to know. Oh, and a quick practical tip for coffee lovers worried about mold.
Ah, yes. If you're concerned about mycotoxins in coffee, generally speaking, dark roast coffee tends to have significantly lower levels than light or medium roasts. The roasting process helps break down some of those compounds, and as a general rule, choosing organic or grass-fed products where possible can sometimes reduce exposure too.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway for everyone listening?
I think the core message is that this whole struggle with mold and fungus for many people is less about that one accidental bite of fuzzy leftovers and much, much more about maintaining the delicate balance of your own internal security force. It's about managing an enemy that might already be living inside you, quietly waiting for its chance.
Right. It's an inside job, often.
It really is. And if you connect the dots, a lot of those nagging chronic issues people struggle with, the constant fatigue, the brain fog, those weird cravings, they might actually be the direct result of these tiny, often overlooked organisms running the show and actively messing with your immune system.
Okay, so if the idea of a tiny fungus secretly pulling the strings and blocking your vitamin D wasn't quite mind-bending enough, wait until you find out what one super common food weed does every single time you eat it, even if you don't think you have a problem with gluten.
Oh, that's a good teaser. But for tonight, maybe the question to leave everyone with is this. How much of your daily fatigue or that brain fog or those seemingly random sweet cravings, how much of that is actually being dictated by organisms you didn't even realize you were hosting, training, and feeding every single day? Might be time to think about rebuilding those internal defenses.